Hello, welcome to July 12th, 2023. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily good life meditation. This exercise is something that I do every morning, shortly after waking up. It's now 4:48 a.m. I do this in order to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone. I also use this time to think about the last 24 hours and how I used those principles to meet the objectives relative to the opportunities and challenges that I met yesterday, including last night. I then finish by thinking about the coming day and planning for whatever challenges and opportunities I might foresee, and maybe more importantly, preparing for the unforeseen. First, a poem from John Keats. We'll read yesterday's poem once again and then on to a new poem. Yesterday's poem was to Mrs. Reynolds' cat. The idea being that yesterday we studied it. Today we'll read it again and see if it more meaning might come through. To Mrs. Reynolds' cat. Cat, how hast passed thy grand climacteric? How many mice and rats hast in thy days destroyed? How many titbits stolen? Gaze with those bright, languid segments green, and prick those velvet ears. But prithee, do not stick thy latent talons in me, and upraise thy gentle mew, and tell me all thy phrase of fish and mice and rats and tender chicks. Nay, look not down, nor lick thy dainty wrists, for all the wheezy asthma, and for all thy tail's tip is nicked off. And though the fists of many a maid have given thee many a maul, still is that fur as soft as when the lists in youth thou entereth on glass bottled wall. It makes more sense now. Is talking to the cat, at the cat, for all of it. It's an old cat. It's worn out, and asking it to give him a break, to keep the talons, keep the claws in, etc., and going over all of its years of being a cat. And I like that. Now I get that last part still in that fur as soft as when it lists, as when the lists in youth thou enterest on glass bottled wall. When you enter the roll, the list of the young cats. But I don't get the glass bottled wall. That part still eludes me, and I did try to look it up. I couldn't figure it out. I like it. Okay, the next poem is called On Seeing a Lock of Milton's Hair, an Ode. Now, this one requires a little bit of explaining, and there are a couple of words in here that I didn't quite get that I had to look up. Or there was one word. First, this poem comes about as a result of John Keats being with Leigh Hunt, a friend of his. This is in 1818, and Leigh Hunt had a collection of hair locks, including the lock of John Milton, the poet, the writer of Paradise Lost, story of the fall of Adam and Eve. He had a lock of his hair, who John Keats greatly admired. So he wrote this poem after it. I think I looked it up, he said he did it at Leigh Hunt's request. There's a word here that I didn't understand. There says, to a young Delian oath. I had to look it up. Delia is an island, a Greek island, a small little rock of like 3 kilometers. There's not much on it. Apparently that's where the god Apollo was born. His mother, his father was Zeus, and his mother, who gave birth to Apollo, went there because she would be assured of privacy in giving birth. Anyway, that island, apparently in the old days, there would be the Greek Federated States representatives would come there and give an oath to be a compact, to help one another. They would make a Delian oath. Nobody really knows what the words of that oath were, but apparently it was a solemn oath of Confederate help. And so likewise, Milton, or Keats is using that line here, to a young Delian oath, and you'll see the rest. Here we go. On seeing a lock of Milton's hair, an ode. Chief of organic numbers, old scholar of the spheres, thy spirit never slumbers, but rolls about our ears, forever and forever. Oh, what a mad endeavor worketh he, who to thy sacred and ennobled hearse would offer a burnt sacrifice of verse and melody. How heavenward thou soundest, live temple of sweet noise, and discord unconfoundest, give delight, new joys, and pleasure, noble pinions. O where are thy dominions? Lend thine ear to a young Delian oath. Aye, by thy soul, by all that from thy mortal lips did roll, and by the kernel of thy earthly love, beauty in things I on earth and things above, I swear, when every childish fashion has vanished from my rhyme, will I, grey gone in passion, leave to an aftertime hymning and harmony of thee and of thy works and of thy life. But vain is now the burning and the strife. Pangs are in vain until I grow high rife with old philosophy and mad with glimpses of futurity. For many years my offering must be hushed. When I do speak, I'll think upon this hour, because I feel my forehead hot and flushed, even at the simplest vassal of thy power. A lock of thy bright hair, sudden it came, and I was startled when I caught thy name, coupled so unaware, yet at the moment temperate was my blood. Methought I had beholded from the flood. So this is clearly, maybe not so clear, but I get from this Keats being, suddenly astonished to see the hair of the man of Milton, who he admired so much, and he opens with some praises for Milton's work, and then mentions that he himself, in his immaturity and his words still are childish in comparison, and that he has to wait for maturity and the ripening of philosophy to be prepared so that he can attempt to do as well. But he promises to the memory of Milton that he will do his best to grow and become worthy and to able, in his best ability, to create rhyme, if not the equal to Milton's, at least in due respect to his example. That bit about the flood, I think he's just referring as if it was startling to see Milton's hair, as if some artifact, some relic from the biblical great flood itself. More Bible interfused everywhere throughout ancient or old literature. All right, let's get started. First, yesterday and last night. Slept pretty good last night. It's getting a little warm, but I mean, not desert warm. It's still beach warm. Yesterday was a good day. A lot of work done. Got all my work done. I took the bulls by the horn. I planned out. I talked to my boss, or not my boss, but my dotted line manager yesterday, and I proposed a course of action to break up work into projects, sub-projects, just more than a dozen projects to work on with a team of about a half dozen people. So it was a way to try to organize a body of work into a way that could be done better. Anyway, I don't need to give into the details, but it was a way of, the long and short of it was, I was striving to take the reins of how do you describe it? A body of work, a large body of work that's going to keep a team busy for a couple of years, a couple of half year, 2.5, maybe 3 years, and try to organize it into a way that we could do in a reasonable manner. And I proposed that, and we'll see today maybe that proposal was well received and taken to management, and I guess I'll see maybe today if that worked out well. Anyway, the whole reason I'm telling you all this is that this was an example of me at work, using my principle of reason to to think my way and plan and execute my way through a challenge, which was taking a disorganized body of potential work and making it into something that is more manageable. Basically planning out a roadmap. I'm really proud that I did that. And so I'm, coming into the end of my career, and I'm glad that I was able to do something like that. Hopefully that will make good use of taxpayer dollars with a team of people over the next couple of years. That pleased me. I'm well pleased with that. It was a good day yesterday, and a good day at the beach, good day, et cetera, et cetera. I did have an interesting incident. I was at the pharmacy at lunchtime to pick up a prescription, and a woman struck up a conversation next to me while I was waiting for my order. And she was a psychiatrist, retired for the last 20 years. And she started the conversation just out of the blue. And she wound up telling me about her experience being retired for, as I said, 20 years. And she said that she has nothing to do. Still has nothing to do 20 years later. Very interesting. And that, and she gave on, she gave way that it's been very difficult for her. For 20 years. Now she's old enough now that probably she's never going to recover any footing. Still, I need to think about this, because that's my fear, is not knowing what to do. It's a startling thing to imagine, because I've always thought myself as somebody that has lots to do. And I have a life mission and a purpose, but it's largely complete. But still. And I had this experience before. I took a year off, basically a year of early retirement in my, what was that, my late 30s, early 40s? That didn't go well. A lot to think about there. And I'm taking it on. Let's do a good life. My 7 objectives are to be always ready to die, to make good and effective use of time, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles, to cultivate good emotional reactions, to perform good actions, to recognize my true limits and true opportunities, and to do just one thing at a time, and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. My 34 principles, and these objectives and principles are in my book, Going Alone. The principles are war, reason, homunculus, anchorhold, home of good and evil, purpose, atomic principle, the principle of nature, the pirate ride, maturity, the social principle, the principle of family, pretty sure that's the one I keep forgetting, public speaking, temperance, life will not go well, the horror show, that which must be born, the feast of Offal, distraction, agency, and the great indifference, the best seat in the house, the restless man, the path of wildness, the great life adventure, the risk of avoiding risk, sin and damnation, complete oblivion, the season of philosophy, script writing, heard something outside, the bullseye aim, the uphill climb, arena and utility. Am I missing something now? The season of philosophy, did I get that one? Arena and utility. Nothing is enough in the principle of fun. I think I got them all. Okay, as for today, it's another good day of work. Hopefully I'll get feedback today about that plan that I just talked about. And if that's the case, then I'll keep myself well employed for the next month and a half, preparing to outline all of that. A lot to do. This will be good. I hope that management gives me the green light. I'd like to be well employed. I think that's it. Be safe, but not too safe. And with that, my life is done, if not finished. See ya.